And what's up, guys? Welcome back to another live weather update here at the studio, and we're going to be talking about the winter storm that's finally going to be starting to take aim and take shape overnight tonight into tomorrow across portions of the upper Midwest. Like I said, this has been coming along for like the last week or so, consistently between the European model and other trusted forecast models that I trust besides the GFS. Remember originally you guys said the GFS is so far north. Here goes the European model saying, well, F that, here we go, snowstorm taking aim for all of Illinois basically at this point in Iowa. So system's going to take aim starting late tonight or late this evening across portions of central and western Iowa for the most part, starting tonight. And that snow shield is going to start moving east into portions of central and northern Illinois after midnight, around like 3 or 4 a.m. should start targeting the border of Iowa and Illinois. Treacherous travel, cold conditions on the north side of the shield, very cold, upper level temperatures at your 850s, very fluffy snow combined with some gusty winds gusting over 30 miles an hour at times will lead to isolated whiteout conditions, especially with a northerly or northeast wind in most areas, especially on the north side of the system. And you'll also have some lake enhancement here across portions of Upper Cook County into portions of the counties across southeastern extreme Wisconsin for the most part, where you get some lake enhancement band in here, feed it in with a northeasterly or winds out in the north or northeast for the most part. So you'll probably get some lake enhancement there, probably enhancing some totals there near the lake that the models aren't really picking up on very well. But you can see on the future reflectivity precipitation type that there is some lake enhancement feeding in. And even if you know your weather by bit, usually when you have a system approaching out of the west or out of the southwest moving in this direction, you get winds out ahead of the system out of the north or northeast, which does trigger that lake enhancement banding feeding into those lakeshore counties for the most part, anywhere between Wisconsin into portions of northeast extreme Illinois. But just breaking this down here, we'll just click on the winter storm warning here, portions into portions of central Iowa, where accumulations anywhere between 8 and 13 inches with isolated amounts are higher. Traffic will be impossible to hazardous at times, and I'm trying to figure out the timing, what they have for time. Oh, 6 p.m. this evening to 6 a.m. Sunday. So like I said, late this evening, late tonight is when that snow really does start to happen across portions of central and eastern Iowa and move eastward into the Iowa-Illinois border. So we'll probably heading out west later on this late evening into the overnight hours to head west to kind of track down the snow. Or we'll probably stay over here, but I think the Iowa side, eastern Iowa, is definitely take a brutal hit with this snowstorm with higher accumulations possible road closures, and a lot of accidents probably occurring over there, especially with the gusty winds. And then we have the warnings over here across portions of western Illinois, where total snow accumulation is between 10 and 14 inches of snow, winds gusting as high as 25 miles an hour. There is sometimes it will be gusting up to 40 or 45 as well, from midnight tonight into 6 a.m. Sunday, with difficult travel, slick overpasses, and and whiteout conditions as well. And then we have the warning criteria for northeast Illinois, including the Chicagoland area, with 6 to 10 inches and locally higher amounts northwest of Ottawa and Aurora and Waukegan line. So 6 to 10 inches is likely for Chicagoland area. And that's starting 3 a.m. after midnight until 6 a.m. Sunday. So like I said, this is going to be a long-term winter storm event. So if you don't really like traveling in the snow, you don't want to be out in the snow, I would just suggest that you get your stuff before tonight. That way you have your car fueled up or anything else that you might need, because this will be a very widespread snow event for multiple or several states. So you can see how many advisories and warnings we have out between South Dakota, Nebraska, Iowa. Is all covered within an advisory or warning at criteria. Southern Minnesota, South Central Wisconsin, Southwest Michigan, and they're even extending their watches further east as the system is on approach. So, I mean, you already have advisories into the St. Louis area, where they'll be picking up snow as well, between 2 to 4 inches of snow. And then as soon as you go outside the city limits into Illinois towards Litchfield, you already have a winter storm warning where 4 to 6 inches. And as you go further north towards Springfield, obviously, into Bloomington area, then you get total snow accumulations over 5 inches or more. So like I said, everything's definitely going to be on the intense side as you go further north. Yep, you are right. Oswego could get up to 12 inches of snow or more. So what I'm really worried about here is your I-80 corridor between Des Moines in Peru, Illinois. This whole corridor right here, I-80. I'm really worried about I-80 here having some possible pileups or some really big time travel impacts. You also have 20 up here from Independence, Waterloo, over to Dubuque, to Freeport, to Rockford right here. This area, these two highways here, west to east, usually get a ton of accidents or pileups or a lot of slide-offs, just due to a really strong north or northeast wind. Even with the winds gusting 25 and how heavy it'll be coming down, you'll probably have near whiteout conditions and very hazardous travel and very slick roads. And your current temperatures this morning with dew point over the Quad Cities area is 25 degrees with a 16 dew point, winds 6 miles an hour west-northwest. So for the most part, like I said, the temperature is very cold, the ground's very cold, snow will have no issue sticking. It's been cold for the last couple of days now, so yeah. And then we also have Rockford, Illinois here sitting at 24 over 16 with a 10 mile an hour wind out of the west-northwest. We got Waterloo, Iowa here sitting at 19 degrees with a 14 dew point. So your temperatures are very cold, the atmosphere is very cold, very energetic. This system that's going to be coming through is a very large system, very large snowstorm indeed. So we're going to go ahead and switch over to what the significant travel impacts are going to be looking like. Go over here, go to winter, go to severity index. And here you go. Here's your severity index here over the next 72 hours or so when the snowstorm actually does come in. So you have major severity index here across portions of central and eastern Iowa into northern or northwest, or western or northwest Illinois. So anywhere in the red here is very bad for how bad the travel is going to be impacted based on severity between all the forecast models that kind of come together, the winds, the cold temperatures, and everything else. So a very large area with major impacts for portions across central and eastern Iowa and northwest and western Illinois. So we're going to be looking at some very significant snowfall totals in this area, reaching some areas over a foot of snow. Like I said, 1 inch plus an hour snowfall rates, leading to very low visibility with the combination of wind gusting over 25 to 35 miles an hour at times in areas. And like I said, that I-80 corridor is kind of covered in that major impact. And you got 20 here all the way from Webster City all the way to Rockford, Illinois. You have to watch out for these highways, these west-to-east road highways, because these three highways going west-east across portions of eastern Iowa and western and northwest Illinois would probably have the most significant travel impacts for the most part. So like I said, just those are probably the targeted areas. I'll be on to help out with people that get stuck or need help on the roadways, covering for video coverage and everything else. So that's where I want to be at this point, kind of covering the whole situation for the most part. So it's going to be a very interesting event. But if we just kind of zoom out here and kind of highlight the whole entire area of how widespread this snow event's going to be taking place, and don't be surprised that the major impacts kind of spread into northeast excuse me, into northeast Illinois. So do expect that. It's going to be very interesting. I do expect the Chicagoland area to have some major travel impacts as well. So like your areas that I'm worried about is I-88 corridor, 294, you got I-88 as well, I-90, there's a lot of interstates over here. You're also going to get some lake enhancement here, like I said, feeding in near the lakeshore area, kind of right here. So it'll kind of be building up near the lakeshore with some gusty winds and some very heavy snow for the most part, with over 1 inch an hour snowfall rate. So that lake enhancement does reach a little bit further inland. But this is what the severity index for the winter storm that's actually coming up is going to be like. This is how large the map is for the risk of seeing over 4+ inches of snow. That is a 80% chance right there. 80% chance of most areas seeing over 4 inches of snow just in the purple. That's a very large system. Very large system. But let's go ahead and swap over to our forecast models here. And check out some stuff behind the scenes. We'll start with the NDFD forecast model and kind of just break them down bit by bit. So you can see our snow comes in after midnight, starting late this evening in Iowa, kind of overspreads the area, moves west to east. And there you go. That's based on the NDFD forecast model showing max inches up to 15 inches of snow. So that's what max is. So then we got the national blend model. And this is just a model between all the other forecast models at this point. So national blend showing up max potential up to 18.5 inches of snow, mostly across northwest and northern Illinois, along those west to east corridors up there, where the snow is a lot fluffier. It builds up more and accumulates more. So up there with the blowing and drifting snow as well. But it looks like northern and northwest Illinois, based on the national blend forecast model, showing a lot of areas showing over a foot of snow for the most part. So that's what it's looking like over there. And then you have the combination of wind, a lot of these areas are going to be seeing wind gusts, maybe 25 to 35 miles an hour. The HER model kept pushing out wind gusts possibly up to 40, 45. We'll see how that works. But like I said, the national blend model is really showing some 30 gusts there along the I-80 corridor west to east, near Davenport, Iowa, Quad Cities area. So And then we gotta go check out the HER model at this point. Going over to the 12Z run. And you can see where it's picking up some of those wind gusts there. Over 30 miles an hour. Right there along the I-80 corridor for the most part. And that's Saturday afternoon and evening. And those wind gusts coming as early as Saturday morning as well as 8 a.m. With the combination of the snow right there at the current point, you can see that lake enhancement up there. See that banding coming in there. Some lake enhancement into Wisconsin up there. But yeah, that's some very heavy snow that comes in there. That precip shield, based on the HER model, that precip shield starts reaching into Davenport area late tonight, late this evening, late tonight, around 10 or 11 p.m. And that precip shield starts moving further east. And then by 4 a.m. or after midnight tonight, it's already in the Quad Cities area. And then by 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. in the morning, it's showing peak snowfall rates and very heavy banding and lake enhancement off to the north. See, the HER model gets really iffy on that. Some of that lake enhancement or that north wind maybe stretching, northwest wind. We'll see how that does develop, but still too far out to determine what it's picking up by on the HER. This is what the current HER model shows for the 12Z run. Max accumulation is up to 22 inches in some areas. It's almost 2 feet. But this is just based on the HER model and the combination between the national blend model and the HER model at this point. So that's what they're both showing at this point. Yeah, I'll zoom in for you guys. I wish there was a Quad Cities city that can go on here, but it doesn't show Quad Cities. Doesn't even show Des Moines on here, just shows Chicago. So I'll zoom in here so you guys can see stuff better. That's the furthest I can get zoomed in on here on this graphic. But that's just our model right here overlooking some of the things. So like I said, just for everyone who was saying that the winter storm wasn't going to bring impacts across central northern Illinois, when you can easily see this from a mile away between the European model being so consistent. The European model does a very good job when it's 5 to 6 days out, and it's very consistent between back-to-back runs and it hasn't moved. And the GFS and all the other models are all over the place. All the other models started slowly shifting south, while the European model kept very consistent runs over central and northern Illinois. So we knew where the placement of potential snow impacts would be, but we just can't tell how much we're going to get because we got to wait for the higher resolution models to meet with the long range models. Then the national blend models come out, and you got the NDFD model, you got the HER model, you got the RFS, you got the Canadian 2.5, all these other forecast models that kind of pick up in more detail, specifically with lake enhancement feeding in as well. But this is going to be a major winter storm impacting northern Illinois and eastern Iowa late tonight into Saturday all day. So like I said, if you have travel plans and you really have to get out to get gas, or anything you might need, I would just do it today so it's out of the way, because you really don't want to be driving in this if you hate driving in snow already. Because to be every single road you go on is going to be snow covered, and not every single plow is going to be able to clear those roads, because this is a very large snowstorm. Most of the plows will be focused on the major interstates and major highways. They might have a few county plows for your area, but those might be get diverted over to major county roads and not your side roads or your back roads, and those might be snow covered and iced over with the winds blowing over with the north and northeast wind blowing over at times. That will lead to this will lead over to whiteout conditions in some areas and very icy over roads, because if they don't have salt and they're not paying attention to those roads, it's just going to blow over at that point. So, but like I said, I'll be coming out with a very detailed graphic weather map here in the next hour or two. I'm going to be looking over a lot of the forecast models and come out with my maps for my own self. The next live weather update will be this afternoon at noon, so look out for that. So we'll be live streaming throughout much of the day, giving live weather updates. So make sure to share, follow, like, and follow the stream. I'll be out there live streaming the event as well. But we're going to have big time full coverage. This is the most first major winter storm of the year for Illinois and Iowa, with these totals and this wind combination and being this consistent. So I don't see a fell mode with this system at all. Everything's there. I'm not really concerned that anything's going to fall apart at this point. I do have the concern that these snow totals could actually be overperformed, where some areas could see 2 feet of snow, or even upwards of 26 inches, especially with the lake enhancement near the lake shore coming inland. How far inland that lake enhancement does come in, you can see upwards of 2 feet with the combination of lake enhancement and also the actual snow system coming through as well. So a lot of these areas could see 1 to 2 feet of snow. So like I said, going to be a lot of fun.